Catherine. So next up we have Stephen Blackburn from Leeds. He's going to talk to us about, again, open data, but also some of the work that Leeds have been doing.
I don't have any flashy pictures. Very boring, my presentation, actually. Yes, just Google it. Hi there, everybody. So my name's Stephen Blackburn. I work in our information governance team at Leeds City Council, and I lead on open data and manage the Leeds Data Mill, which is our open data repository. So I think, to be honest with you, that I remember when we started out with open data, and I remember the legal services team saying we should only publish what is absolutely necessary, what is legislative, and only do what we have to do. I also remember our IT people saying, oh, just stick it all out there, it'll be right. And I think that the fact that this landed on my lap to an extent in the information governance team, I see myself as sort of sitting on the fence, if you like, that I want to push as much data out there as we possibly can, but to do it in a very controlled manner, make sure we do it in the right way. I don't want to get up one morning and find there's a load of children's names been inadvertently published on the website that we manage. So before we set out wrote some open data principles, some publishing guidelines, and most importantly, some anonymisation guidelines. So working with other people in the information governance team, making sure that we've got the standards and the rules all laid out so we all know exactly what we're doing. I'll just pick up on something that Tom mentioned earlier about data quality. And my view, and this is in the open data principles, obviously, you know, when we publish data, we want to publish the best quality data as possible. But my view has always been that shouldn't be a barrier to publishing data. As long as you make it clear in the metadata that what you're publishing, you may have some concerns with it, and you know X, Y, and Z might not be quite right, I think you should still publish it. We've already got evidence where we've published data, somebody's been reusing that data, spotted some flaws in it, got back to me, and then I've got back to our council tax team, and they've been able to improve their own data quality. So pushing that data out has actually helped us improve our own quality. So when I'm speaking to services and they say, oh, we're not too sure about it, I do try and work around that, because I don't think that should be an excuse to not publishing data. In terms of the data that we publish, I think the main focus, first of all, has been to basically publish we started on publishing the local government transparency code data. However, we've always, my view and others within the council have always viewed that perhaps that wasn't data that was specifically of interest to people in Leeds. I don't know about other parts of the country. The council spending data is a data set that is looked at quite a lot. I'm not sure about some of the other stuff. You know, so I think that was very much government-led, and we find that actually the data sets that people in Leeds are interested in are stuff like footfall data, accident data, traffic count data, business rates. None of those, of course, feature in the Code of Transparency. So what we did was focus first of all on the code, got that out of the way, so then we can then focus on the stuff that we think are of interest to reusers of data in Leeds and to citizens and communities. Of course, the data, when we do publish it, needs to be understood, meaningful, and provide value. So it's important that when we do publish data, we provide as much metadata as possible. I see myself as a bit of I suppose, a conduit of to the data before we publish it. So people send it to me. I always think if I don't understand it, then the chances are when we publish it, nobody else is going to either. So I sort of sanity check it, if you like, to an extent. And like I say, there's no point sticking a load of data out there if it's of no value and doesn't mean anything to anyone. So Leeds' ambitions. When we started working on open data, And like I say, looking at the Code of Transparency, I think probably like most councils, we put our data on an open data area of leeds.gov.uk. But increasingly, like most organisations, we're commissioning more services out. Some services we just don't provide anymore, and others are picking that up. So perhaps the data that we collected 10, 15, 20 years ago, we no longer collect. Others are collecting that data. So I've always seen the council as just being one piece of the jigsaw, if you like, when we're wanting to understand a holistic view of the city. But increasingly, we're a smaller piece of the jigsaw. So it's important that we engage with others who are also providing services across the city. So we started off using leeds.gov.uk, but increasingly realised that actually that really wasn't going to cut it. We needed to engage with others, and therefore we needed a platform that could allow others to publish their data as well. So it's not just a council platform. I always say that Leeds Data Mill is not a Leeds City Council platform, it's a City of Leeds platform. So there's just a number of the organisations. I think we've got about 30 organisations or something now that we're either publishing directly or that we're signposting. Again, I kind of view the data mill as a one-stop shop, if you like, for data. If I can identify some data that may already be published out there on somebody else's website, I will signpost that. And if it can provide more understanding and more value about the city of Leeds, that's where I want the data to be, either uploaded directly or signposted. But it shouldn't just be about data. Yes, probably most people in here are interested in data or really interested in spreadsheets and all all the raw data and all that stuff. But actually, the real value is when you do stuff with the data. So we've tried to build the data mill around the data, but put all the wraparound stuff there as well, such as visualizations, blogs. If there's any products being created from using the data, we get those uploaded and get them promoted as well. Leeds has got one of the larger digital sectors outside of London. And to be honest with you, a couple of years ago, Leeds City Council just wasn't in that sphere, if you like. And now with the data mill, we're very much embedded part of that digital community. And also, what I've found actually, which has been really, really quite refreshing and quite good, is that there's a lot of entrepreneurs, really sort of civic enthusiasts out there, I don't know what I would call them, people who are just, they do their day job and then they go home and they're just really interested in the kind of stuff that's going on in the city, and they will do stuff in their own time, perhaps using the data that we've published. And I think it's great that we've now got links into those people and who can provide value back to the council, if you like, using the data that we've published. So that's just a screenshot of the data mill, and there's our Twitter feed, so please do follow us. I've circled there, and like I say, it's not just about the data, so we've got blog posts there, events, any events that are in Leeds, we do try and promote. Projects, so any products, anything that's going on in Leeds. Again, it's not just about the data. The way I see it is, even if you've just got a sort of a passing interest in data, I would like to think that there's something of interest for you to have a look at the data mill and get something out of. So our innovation labs. So you may have heard these called hack days, hackathons, data dives. Hack and data are bad words. Innovation and labs are good words. So that's what we've called them. We think that hack puts people off, so we call them innovation labs. And actually this week, I'm proud to say that this approach, we've been awarded one of the 50 Nesta New Radicals awards, so that's quite good. So the idea of an innovation lab, we had a small pot of money, very small, which we made go quite a long way. And the idea, really, from my point of view as Open Data Lead, was to open up data, ultimately. But the Innovation Lab gave us that driver. So we spoke to services across the council who may have identified a problem or an issue with affecting citizens or communities and or the council as well. And the idea was that if they have some data that can be opened up and published on the data mill, then we, through our connections with the digital community, can team service users up, service providers and these technologies to come up with new and innovative prototypes that can address that initial problem or issue. We held our innovation labs down at ODI Leeds. So again, we are a node of ODI, and that's a great collaborative workspace that we have in Leeds, and it's, it brings all the relevant parties together and allows us to work collaboratively. So to give you an idea of the kind of thing that we did at the Innovation Lab, so children's services, every April and May, they get loads of complaints and appeals and FOIs. The parents haven't been able to get their child into their first or second choice school place. So that's bad for parents. They're unhappy about that because they wanted their child to go to the school. But it's equally bad for the council because it just generates, this whole industry, it just generates an awful lot of work. So it would be better if parents, the brief, if you like, was how can we help parents make better informed choices about when choosing a school place for their child. There are some schools that are well oversubscribed, and you kind of need to live within spitting distance of the school to be even in with a shout of getting in that school. So we had, oversubscribed schools in the north of Leeds, parents in the south of Leeds putting in that as their first choice. It's kind of a wasted choice. We've got all the data based on last year's applications about how many places there are per school, how far away the last child that was allocated a place lived. We've got all that information, locations of school, of course. We uploaded all that onto the data mill and ran an innovation lab, and somebody did some great work mapping out that data into a way that parents can then understand, not just a load of numbers on a spreadsheet. So that's what the innovation labs are all about. We then, like I say, had a small pot of money whereby we worked with 4 technologists on the day of the innovation lab and split them into teams. By the end of the day, they each did a presentation on the work that they'd done over the course of the day. A bit like Dragon's Den, they got a bit of a question and answer kind of session. And then the service had a conversation within a week or two of the Innovation Lab to decide whether they wanted to take one of those prototypes forward and work with that developer over 3 or 4 months to actually work up that product. So that's what the Innovation Labs are all about. And we've done about, I think we did about 6 or 8 of them on various projects over the last 12 or 18 months. So they've been really good. Now, we're going to say, you hear the phrase a lot, or at least I do, sort of build it and they will come. I don't think that really is accurate to an extent, and I think this is why we have the innovation labs. I would say it's build it and they might come. Build it, and actually if you hold your hand out and drag them along with you, they're more likely to come. So that's the innovation lab. It's okay us putting a load of data out there, but then we want people to do stuff with it. This open data agenda is still very, very early days. I mean, we've been doing it for 3 years or so now, but it's still very, very early days. I think once we've got a groundswell of data, we're publishing or signposting just over 300 now. I think when we're getting into the realms of publishing maybe 3,000 data sets, or even better, streaming live data from sensors and all the rest of it, then I think, the market, if you like, and entrepreneurs will just take over and people will start to do stuff with the data. At the moment, there's still a little bit of hand-holding. Another way that we've tried to engage non-data people, I guess, with the data is our dashboard. I think the money to create this came from, I think, the LGA Breakthrough Fund, didn't it? I'm being told to shut up. Anyway, I'll be as quick as I can. So again, that's something whereby we're using data sets from the data mill, visualising them and making sense of that data to an audience perhaps who are less interested about data. So what's next? Well, Leeds has an ambition to be the best city for open data, but we can't compete. We're a city of about 750,000 people, reasonably small, if you like, in the grand scheme of things. So we can't really compete, even certainly with the likes of London, Chicago, New York, Barcelona, those kind of cities. So what do? We still have ambitions to be the best city for open data. But where we need to go is work more collaboratively across the region. So over the next 2 or 3 weeks, you will hopefully, if things go according to plan, start to see some changes to the data mill. Again, when we're looking at economies of scale across councils, does it make sense that, other councils in Yorkshire and Humber and beyond all have their own open data platform? I think we've got a pretty decent website set up. We can add publishers on there. It's great if we can get data on right across the region. I do say to people in Leeds, that the world doesn't end at the boundary of Leeds. A lot of people think it does, but I think what we need to do is start looking beyond the boundaries and working together across the region. So we're already speaking to Bradford Council. They're going to start to use the data mill as their open data repository. And again, what I'm wanting to do is work with Bradford and try and embed the same ethos that we have in Leeds. That it's, again, not just about Bradford City Council data, if they can then spread the word to other organisations around Bradford as well. And of course, it's not just about then sticking any old data on. What we then want to do is start to connect and speak to each other to make sure we're publishing data in the same format, so then people can really do stuff with it right across the region. And I think that's about it for me. I think we're leaving questions to the end, aren't we? Okay, thank you.